Hey, I'm here with my two friends, MGS Ryden, Shadow Wolf, and of
Howdy.
course me, Pilot to You, as you can tell from the shirt. Alright, right now we're doing Metal Gear Solid 3, as you can tell from the title of the video. And to start off with, the theme, as soon as you pop in the game, there's just this awesome Snake Eater theme. If you look it up, like, tons of people love the theme. It's really cool, it really gets you interested in the game, because it's just like, so different than what you expect. Like the Metal Gear Solid 2 theme was kind of classical, but Metal Gear Solid 3 is way more lively. Other than that, the music in the whole game, like, you have a little bit of rock, you have a little bit of old classical, a lot of jazzy type stuff. It's a really good mix, and it's all really good quality music. The sound quality is really good. Just like the past games, gun sounds are pretty good, the voice acting is good, the sound is great across the board. Now, the story, which is what I think the best part about the whole Metal Gear franchise, is its story. Now, this time, you play as Big Boss, or Naked Snake, who is basically the guy who Solid Snake was cloned from, along with Liquid and Solidus. But we're not at that point yet. This is back in the 60s. So, basically, your first mission is the Virtuous mission. You land in Russia. Your job is to go rescue a guy named Sokolov. It's pretty straightforward. He's a Russian scientist who defected to the US, but you have to get him back to the Russians through a complicated deal, but it's not that important. So basically, your mission is to go rescue Sokolov. You fail in that mission, unfortunately, and you end up being hospitalized. After having multiple broken bones, like your arm gets broken and you get thrown into a river off a, really high bridge. But luckily, you do manage to survive, you get out, then you're into the second mission, which is Operation Snake Eater. So you end up having to fight against your mentor and her elite unit. And those make up the bosses of the game. In some respects, they're similar to the first game. In fact, the first boss in Metal Gear Solid 1 is also the first boss in Metal Gear Solid 3. Both times, it's Revolver Ocelot. Except now you meet him as a kid, so it's pretty interesting. Then, moving on, the first boss that you meet is the Pain. He's basically a living beehive. Then you move on, the other bosses in the game, you have, like, the Fear, who will just jump around in trees, and he uses fear tactics, obviously. The Sorrow, who can make it rain, he's kind of a ghost. And the Joy, who is your former mentor. Also called, well, I don't want to spoil the game, but she's your former mentor. The final boss fight ends up being against your former mentor. But also, you have... This really sets up the story for how Metal Gears were created. You end up fighting the Shagohod, which is basically an early version of Metal Gear. But you also meet a Russian guy named Granin, who is basically the godfather of all the Metal Gears. He came up with the design. Okay?
Well, I think the stealth factor really increased. Like Metal Gear Solid 3, the stealth was much better than Metal Gear Solid 2. That's probably because of the jungle you're in. The whole setting, like the whole mood you're in when you're in your jungle, when you're just there with the wild animals and everything, it's just so much better. You can use your environment way better than in any other Metal Gear game, in my opinion. Like you can climb on trees, you can hide in grass, sorry. You can change your camo. You find a lot of camo stuff, so you can change it to better your like hiding. Chris will talk about that later. And the whole vibe, it just like I don't know, it's almost an undescribable feeling. It's just really cool.
You're immersed in the game, basically.
Yeah, like just going around and like sneaking behind enemies in I don't know, in the jungle is just much better than just like, for example, Metal Gear Solid 2 when you're in like the shells and stuff like that. I don't know, it's just me. And the whole mood, as along with, like Billy said, with the great music. I remember there's this one jazz track which is really nice called Sea Breeze, I think. It was in the iPod of Metal Gear Solid 4. Anyways, it just all like helps each other and just makes the whole thing better.
So everything comes together really nicely into a good overall feeling, and it immerses you in the game.
Yeah.
Alright, Chris.
Alright, so basically the controller, it's a bit annoying. Yeah, easily, hands down. The graphics are really good for its time period, especially my personal favorite, the fire graphics. I just think that's great. They really light up Snake. They just go everywhere. It's just great. And the camouflage. This is a really nice feature they added. However, it's pretty annoying at times. Like, it's just annoying to change back and forth.
Because we have to pause the game every time we want to change.
And you have to go to the face, then to the body. It's a cool feature. I like it. It just gets annoying. And
you often find yourselves at a lot of times just always pressing the start button.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are times when you have to change your camouflage almost every couple feet you move.
Yeah, because the scenery just changes a lot, which is good.
Is realistic.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's a positive.
It just gets annoying after a while. That's pretty much it.
There aren't that many things to complain about besides the controls, really.
Yep. It's overall just a really good game. We all definitely enjoyed it a ton. We had a good time playing it, and there's one last comment I want to make, unless you two have more. The last thing I have to say is that the final boss fight is really emotional against your former mentor. Because this is a person who you grow to respect throughout the game. And at the end of the game, you learn so much more after you've, already had the battle. You learn so much more about the person. And you feel so bad for fighting the person. It really takes you back, and it makes you question the relationship between, like, the military and and politicians, really. Because it shows how Snake was used throughout the entire game for the purposes of the U.S. government.
In a whole, I think, like, the whole gameplay has been stepped up since Metal Gear Solid 2. Personally, I think that game was it wasn't a bad game at all. I don't think it was the best in the series. Yeah. I think Kojima really saw what people didn't like and made it all the better in Metal Gear Solid 3. For example, the boss battles and the total creativity and the personality of each boss is way better than Metal Gear Solid 2. You fought some cool bosses in Metal Gear Solid 2. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was pretty awesome. But, like, seeing different bosses, like, things like, 6 or 7 different fights.
Yeah, they're pretty many.
Like, the fear, the pain, and all that stuff. It's, I don't know, they each have their own personality. And, like, for example, the end, he's got his own surrounding. Like, they're all in their own different areas. So, it's almost as like, it's just...
It's like an actual unit. They each have their own specialty. Like, the end is a sniper. But he's also... it gets into a little bit of the more unbelievable part of the plot. But he's actually part plant, so he can use the jungle to find out where you are. So, like, that makes him an amazing sniper. Because if you're near a plant, he can tell where you are.
Yeah, I think Kojima's really good at, like, making creative stories. It's a really good action game.
Mm-hmm. Chris, any final comment?
Get the game. Play it. Now.
And enjoy it. And I think that's about all we got to say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.